Hello everyone and welcome to round 7 of my playthrough of Tiger's Lash Out at Ladoga. More information on the scenario you can find in an introductory video. I've already made a couple of changes based on some playtesting. I've recorded a video on that as well. And of course the previous rounds have their own separate videos too, although the previous one actually contained 2 rounds, and I might do the same again for this one. So without further ado, let's keep on playing. It's the Russians who have the initiative. The Germans do have a card, Surprise Ace Assault, which they could play, but then probably the ace, well, it works the same as Surprise Assault, but in this case it has to be the ace unit actually taking it. This is the German Tiger Ace. And yeah, I could do that, but I would probably shoot at this one, and yes, I would probably take care of it then, but I may want to save this card for later. So I've decided to just let the Soviets go first. This is a card I already have as well. Let's see what that one does again for the Germans. If your ace has destroyed an enemy heavy vehicle this action turn, you may force an enemy vehicle to reroll up to 2 attack dice when it attacks one of your units. Discard upon third use. That is not a bad idea, of course. But it would have to be during the same action turn, so I cannot combine it with the other card. But it might be an option to use later, although I cannot buy both cards because this one costs 3 and the other one costs 2. Okay, well, so that's the Russians who get to go first, and I think they want to do some combined fire, these 2 units against the Tiger. So that's 12 dice, and they have to pay, that's a special rule, each time the Russians want to use combined fire, they have to pay an available command, so that's what they're doing. 12 dice. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 against 6, of which 1 is going to be an automatic save. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 hits and only 2 saves. Well, with 1 automatic save it becomes 3, so that's 3 hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minus 3 is 3, so it's a heavily damaged for the Tiger, so that's not too bad for the Russians. And now 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they could go over here, but that's probably suicide at this point, so let's not do that. Well, this one is heavily damaged. If it still wants to do something, that should probably do so now. I accidentally put a disrupted token next to the Tiger. I could use this one. 3 dice against, well, yeah, the question is against whom? Probably have the best chance against one of the half tracks, but the biggest threat, of course, is the bazooka. So I'm going to use normal fire against the bazooka, hoping to at least kill 1 or 2 figures, which will reduce its firepower. Well, it's 3 misses, 2 1s and a 2. And this one, even though, well, here too, I could also use combined fire and get rid of this quad at least. 3 and no, 6 and 3 is 9. So 5, 7, 9. No cover against a normal attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits. So this squad is gone. And that's the 3 Russian actions, which have been quite successful, I would say. Now it's over to the Germans. Well, I'll fire with the Yeah, although one of these units could just slip by 3, 4, 5, 6, but then it'll end up over here. I'll just fire with it. That's 7 dice. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 against one of the undamaged T-34s. So that's 5 armor and 2 cover. It's 2 hits, 1 cover already, but let's see, they'll need 1 more. But they fail, so that's lightly damaged. It wasn't even such a good roll, but it's still enough for a lightly damaged. What else do the Germans want to do? This unit could do something. It could move into the woods. Yeah, well, this way the T-34 will have to go through it. Could also go that way, of course. You know what? I'll just fire with the ace. 15 dice. 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, 14. And I'll roll one of the red dice with it. It's 15. It's only 1 hit. Lots of 4s, but just 1 6. And the T-34 rolls 4 defense dice and rolls 2 saves. So even an ace does not always guarantee a good shot. Now it's back to the Russians. Okay, they might actually do that. Play a no fuel card, right? Yeah, that's a good move. Fatigue an enemy vehicle that is not an opportunity fire mode. It does cost me 2 command. I wonder if I paid command for these 2 units when they combine fire. I don't think I did, so I'll still do that. No fuel, so I'll fatigue that German Tiger. There are still 2 tigers left, obviously, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I can do that. And then I'll fire at the tiger. I'm not sure if this is a very good move, actually. I've just moved through this hex, so I've just pinned that unit with an overrun. And I'll fire it. Rather than firing at the tiger, I think I should fire at that unit. 3, suppressive fire. 2, cover. Maybe I can route it, or at the very least. It's -1 firepower, obviously, but it's still only would be 6, yes. Would be 5, still 3. I do roll 2 hits, but I also roll 2 saves. This one is already fired, apparently. What else can I do? Well, let's just move some of these units. 3, 4. That's it. Back to the Germans. I do think it was a good move to fatigue one of the units, but I don't think this was probably the best time to use it. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that one could move over there, but 3, 4. Yeah. Back to the Germans. Well, the tiger can shoot at half firepower. So that's 7. Yep, 7 dice against the Yeah, this one is not going anywhere, so let's fire at the heavily damaged one. So against 4, plus 2 is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits for the tiger. That's not bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 saves as well. 5 cover dice out of 6. That's very good. And the Germans have 1 action left. We're going to combine fire with the 2 half tracks. So that's 3 dice against 4 defense, plus 2 for the woods, of course. So 6 defense. Against the heavily damaged T-34. It's only 1 hit and lots of saves. So once the tanks actually make it into the woods, that goes for either side. They're actually very difficult to kill. Back to the Russians. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Three, 4, 5. Is that an option? Three, 4, 5. No. Yeah, this tiger still hasn't fired, so this is not the right time to do it. 1, 2, 3, 6. But I actually want to go this way. 1, 2, 3, 6. Yeah. Cannot move in there. Let's first move some other units. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that the Germans will be forced to do something with all of their units first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I should have probably fired at this unit first because now the German unit still gets to fire. 2 dice against 2 defense. It'll try to pin the unit. No, 1 hit, 1 save. Nothing happens. And, well, this tiger obviously hasn't done anything yet. It will fire at... Yeah, it could also put itself in up fire, of course, which is also an idea, but it will just fire at the adjacent T-34. So 13 dice, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13 against 4 armor because it's slightly damaged. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits and only 1 save, so that's obvious enough. That's the kill. Now the Germans probably don't have any units left to do anything with, although they could still play a card, potentially. Yeah, no units left, except for that one, which they could still fatigue, so that's still in action. A fire and move, is that an idea? 3, 4, 5. No. Could move in there and fire at that one, maybe. Although I really want to do something about the tigers, but... Okay, so it's a fire and move against the tiger. Let's pick the heavily damaged one. 4. And then we have 5 armor. I do score 2 hits, but 1 save and 1 automatic 6, so nothing happens there. 1, 2, 5, 6. I could move that one over there, yes. Does the tiger have armor 6? I do believe it does. Let's just make sure. Could be 7. No, armor 6. I was right. Fortunately. 1, 2, and if I remove, well, would yield me more victory points if I move this one, but then the tank, but it will not go very fast. An assault, is that an option? I'll just do a normal fire. 1, 2, 3, 4 against 4 defense for the kill. It's 1 hit and 2 saves, so nothing happens. But I do want to get rid of this tank over here, and this will greatly slow it down. So this is probably faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, and plus 3 is 7. But that would have to be technically my next move because the Germans still had, I believe they had 1 unit left somewhere. This one, they'll just fatigue it. There's nothing else I can do with it, and then the Russians can continue if they don't want to spend any more command, which they don't want to. So this one is now fatigued, and this one, put it on fire, but I might just as well fatigue it, and that's it, I think, for this turn. So determine control over objectives. That hasn't changed. The Russians get 1 automatically for the seize the initiative card. They also get 5, 7, 8 extra. 5, 6, 7, 8. And the Germans still get 3. Probably would be better for the Russians if they took this one too, because it makes quite a big difference if the Germans only get 1, considering the cards they can now buy and otherwise probably would not be able to buy. Command phase. Yeah, that's actually a good option. So I'll buy this card for the Russians now. During the next status phase, your opponent's units in snow terrain may not be put in opportunity fire mode. And that's actually going to be handy because hopefully I'll be able to move around some of the German units now, and they won't be able to respond. So I will definitely use this one. That costs 2. So important to remember. I don't want the Germans to win the initiative, obviously. They have 16, and they can get as many as 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. The Russians already have 22, so they need to put 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they put 2 more on initiative, meaning that the Germans won't be able to take it, whatever they do. Let's see, what else can they do? About that one, not much more they can do. Those are action phase cards. Those 2 I already have. The Germans do want to buy the artillery card now, probably, but they'll have to wait for it until the start of the action phase, basically. So initiative still belongs to the Soviets. Then we're going to draw strategy cards. Again, the reinforcement cards aren't so useful anymore. The only potential one that might still be somewhat useful for the Russians is mechanized infantry if they'd drawn it 1 or 2 turns previously. Icy terrain until the start of the next command phase. Your opponent's trucks, there aren't any trucks, and squads that start in snow terrain receive 1 fewer movement point when activated. Well, that's a nice card. And the Germans will draw from, you know what, I'll draw from the morale deck again, hoping to draw a take cover. This might be a good card too. Desperation, place in your play area. Of course, I will have to buy it during the next turn. As an action, you may place an activation token on this card, then choose one of your fatigue units and flip its activation token over to the opportunity fire mode or side. Discard this card when the 3rd activation is placed on it. It's a good card because then the Germans can fire with one of their tanks and then put it in up fire mode so they can potentially fire again if the Russians try to move, which they probably will because they haven't exited a single unit just yet, and they will have to if they want to win the scenario. So this is a card I could buy on the next phase. Yes, remove tokens. So those tigers are really hard to kill, but so are the T-34s as long as they're actually in the woods. So it was a good move for them to get to the woods and benefit from its cover before the Germans got there. My previous playtests, of which I didn't actually make a recording, but the Germans actually made it there first. Many of the T-34s used a lot of fire and movement rather than just moving ahead at full speed, which meant that they got to the woods somewhat later, and the Germans were already there. So yeah, this does make somewhat of a difference. But then again, on the previous playtest, the Russian infantry losses were far lower, and they actually get more points for exiting those, and well, most of them will not be able to do that anymore. Maybe this one. They have a couple of turns left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, they could make it because they have turn 10 to do so too. If they're not killed, obviously, because they're down to 1 figure at the moment. So very vulnerable to enemy fire. And of course, the squads are also the only units that can actually move through the swamp terrain. The vehicles cannot go through it, so they will just have to fight their way through the enemy vehicles, which will be difficult enough. Squad transfers, there aren't any. Well, place units in off-fire mode. The Germans can't because of the Sub-Zero card I just bought for the Russians. And what about the Russians? Do they want to put anything in op-fire? I don't really think so. No, probably not. At least not at this point. So we advance the round marker, and that brings us to turn 8, and I will simply keep on playing. Now, the Germans can now buy the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 88 artillery card, and I have used it before, but it functions as an operations card here, and they get to play it before the start of an action phase. Okay, so let's see if it's going to work out for the Germans. They need to roll a 4 to establish contact. They roll a 1, so that doesn't work out. That doesn't mean that they lose the card. It just means that they can use it again on the next turn, and that's why I'm placing an opportunity fire token on it to indicate that I have paid for it, but that I can still use it, so I won't have to pay for it again. And that's not a special rule. That's the way it's always been meant to work, but it's something that not all players have always correctly understood. Okay, so it's the Russians now, and since there are no units in off fire, how far can they get? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I can fire from close range, but it's probably suicide. And I have enough. I have 4 units that can actually do something first, you know, and combine fire as well. Yeah. Let's see. What am I going to do? Let's first see if I can get rid of this tiger, but this one will have to do then. 2, 4, 6, 8, and the tiger has an armor value of 6. So this T-34 is firing on the as yet undamaged tiger. I score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits and 3, and that turns into 4 because of the automatic 6. So only a lightly damaged, despite the pretty good roll, I would say. But it's better than nothing. Now, what else can the Russians do? Yeah, there's actually a lot they would like to do. This one could fire at that squad and see if something can move around here. Of course, they're not an up fire now, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I could fire at that one from close range. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not sure if this is a very smart move. Still have a couple of turns to do whatever it is that I need to, but that's 4 dice against the tiger with an armor value of 6. It's only 1 hit, so that's never going to be enough. And for the last one, I think I will use combined fire. Yeah, this is a target I would like to eliminate, but this one as well. This one I could hope that its armor value is going to be enough. Let's fire at the. Well, still 7 is pretty strong. I'll fire at this one. 3, 5, 8, and an armor value of 5 because it's heavily damaged. That's a pretty poor roll. 1, 2, 3 hits, but only 1 save, and that's already accounting for the automatic 6. So this tiger has been destroyed. Okay, now it's back to the Germans. I do believe this one was in here. I could put units in on fire now, obviously. This one is going to fire from close range at this T-34, so it probably wasn't a very good idea. I should have been a bit more patient. I still have a couple of turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13 against 4 armor, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 5 or 6 hits and only 1 save, so this one is destroyed. So indeed, it wasn't a very smart move to do that. And the Germans have 1 more. 3, 4, 5, yeah. They would go first probably, but let's fire from close range at this one. 4 against 4 because of the lightly damaged, and again elites fire better against infantry, but not against tanks. So it's 4 against 4, but of course the infantry are hitting on a 4+, and the defense dice are only on a 5+. That's 2 hits, 1 save only. So that's heavily damaged. So this T-34 won't be going anywhere anymore either. It is back to the Russians now. Well, the Germans still don't have anything in on fire, but they still have this Tiger left and that Tiger left. So again, I should do what I was doing before. This is something I can do. And let's just do an assault. Why not? So that's full firepower, 4 against 4 cover. And that's 2 hits, but also 2 cover, so it's 0 hits. And the Germans do fire back with 2 dice against 2, no cover, because when you actually assault, you don't have any cover. And the Germans score 2 hits, so this assault didn't go very well. Maybe I should have finally used the mortar and tried to suppress that unit before I actually fired at it. What else can they do? 1, 2, 3, 4, even though it's probably not going to go anywhere anymore. And yeah, the mortar won't be able to make it off the board, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But yeah, this one, yeah, that's actually possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, this one can spot for it. The mortar will fire normal fire against this hex. So that's only 2 dice. It is 1 potential hit. Well, it's definitely a hit against this unit because they don't have any cover against normal fire. And the half-track has 1 armor, and that's a miss, so that one is also lightly damaged. Now it's back to the Germans. So it's a lot about timing here, and as you can see, I made a mistake here myself as well by simply rushing forward with some of my tanks while many of the German units hadn't done anything yet. They were completely fresh, so they could very easily respond. So what do the remaining German units do? Well, they still have quite a few left. This tank, I could have sworn it fired already. It must have been a different tank then, I suppose. Yeah, that one maybe. This one will fire with 12 dice against this T-34. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. The T-34 has 5 armor and 2 cover. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits, and 1, 2, 3 cover. Yes, only 3. So 4 remaining. So that also means that this T-34 is gone. Things aren't looking too good for the Russians. The Tigers certainly seem to be lashing out. Yeah, 1 extra, yeah. These will combine fire, 3 dice against the heavily damaged T-34, which still has 4 defense dice and 2 cover. No, those are all misses, so no hits. Back to the Russians. What can they still do? Again, things aren't looking very good for them. 4, and then fire at that one perhaps. Yes, fire and move. And we still have this one. Yeah, could be a fire and move. Well, again, not a smart move, but hey, I did it already. 2 dice because of the fire and move. It's going to be for the kills, so no defense. But 2 misses. I guess the T-70 saw a non-fatigue German Panzer unit there. I'm a hard learner, apparently, because I really should not do these things before all the Russian units have moved. Let's see, this T-34, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. What else can the Russians do relatively safely? I could fire at the squad here using 6 dice, normal fire, 3 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. That takes care of them. It's back to the Germans. I think the ace is simply going to position itself here and do a fire and move. Because there's no other way. They will have to go right through these units. 15 dice, so that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 against the undamaged T-34, which has 5 armor. 5 armor and 2 cover. Tiger scores 3 hits, and we have 2 saves, but I still get to roll 1 additional cover die, but that one doesn't save. So what did I just say? 1, 2, 3 hits and 2 cover. Yeah, that's lightly damaged for that T-34 as well. Do the Germans have any other units? Yes, they do. They still have this unit over here. Well, let's just fire at the T-70. Why not? It's an easier target. So it's 3 for the squad and 3 for the anti-tank specialization and 3 armor. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits and 1 save. So that's heavily damaged. So that unit isn't going anywhere anymore either. The Russians were getting a bit too impatient, clearly. Back to the Russians now. This one can still fire. It's not like it's going to do anything else. Here, set the Tiger, but only with 4 dice. So I don't really expect miracles, but you never know. 3, 4, 5. No, lots of saves, and I didn't even use the thick armor trait yet. What else can they do? Still nothing in up fire. 1, 2, 3, but it cannot get past here and has to take out these units first. Well, this unit hasn't done anything either yet from close range. 4 against 5. 1, 2, 3 hits, and also 3 saves once I add in the thick armor trait. So that's nothing. And now we still have this one. Doesn't see anything through the building. I will probably move first. 3, 4, 7. That I don't shoot at all. So 1, 2, and Let's see if I can take care of this tiger, but probably not from close range with 4 dice against 5. Well, that is 4 hits, but also 4 saves once I add in the thick armor trait. I rolled 3, but this makes it 4. What about the MG? Cannot really move in safely, as you can see. Do the Germans have any more units? Those all seem to be fatigued. Well, this one, of course, yeah, it still has that one. It only defended in an assault, but of course it can still fire for itself. So that is something the Germans are going to do. Nope, 2 misses, and there was 1 cover for this unit. Now the Russians can basically finish because the Germans don't have any units left. Yeah, I find it a bit risky to move in this MG because that's the only unit that can potentially still get me a relatively large number of points. Yeah, is there anything else I can do with that? Not really. So I'll move it in anyway because I will have the initiative and then I'll just fire with it, but because otherwise I won't be able to move it off the board anyway. So I've just moved the MG into the woods as well. Well, the Russians, seems like that's all the Russian activations as well, and they really don't have all that many tanks left. So this is going to be pretty difficult for them. Okay, so determine control over objectives. Again, that hasn't changed. The Russians get 1 on initiative, and they get 5, 7, 8 extra there. And the Germans get 3 again. Yeah, I really should have taken these 2 command points because 1 turn it's not that bad, but the Germans have been holding on to this command point for, I don't know, 3, 4, well, obviously from the beginning of the game, but the Russians have had the chance to take it from them, and this has at least given them 6 extra command points, and that's a lot of cards that they can actually do something with. Not even sure if they actually have so far, but potentially they could have. So receive command and victory points. Yes, I've done that. Spend command, Russians first. Command phase, icy terrain. Your snow terrain, receive 1 fewer movement point. Yeah, for the Germans, well, it doesn't really matter for the Germans. The other card is an action phase card. So I just want to make sure that I do keep the initiative, which is pretty important. The Germans have 16, and they could go as high as 22. The Russians have, well, they have more than that, 25 already, so I don't need to put anything extra for the Russians, but I'm not going to buy a card either for them, because those 2 cards I have here aren't actually all that great. Yeah, no, not really. So spend command to the Germans. Yes, they want the desperation card, which is going to cost them 2. Yep. And the other cards are action phase cards. But desperation is certainly a nice card for them to have. Russians should have drawn first. Did they draw already? No, neither side drew anything. The Germans still bought something. Okay. Sniper attack. That's not a very handy card for the Russians either. And the Germans also draw from the out of ammo. That's a nice one. Select 1 enemy vehicle and place a pin token on it. The vehicle may not fire this round, but may still move. Yeah, so this is actually a pretty handy card for the Germans, and they can actually buy it during the action phase, which they probably will if they don't forget. And there was a plus sign there, so we'll draw one more, and that's actually the last card from the winter deck. Fatigue one enemy unit in snow terrain, also action phase. So these cards are really handy for the Germans to have. It's a shared deck, so the Russians might have drawn them, but the Russians drew Sniper Attack and Icy Terrain. Icy Terrain is a very handy card for the Germans to have, but not so much for the Russians. So yeah, the Germans have been luckier throughout this playthrough of the game when it comes to the cards from the winter deck that they have been drawing. So we've done that, remove tokens. Looks like it's going to be a very difficult one for the Russians this time round. One thing I might actually change in the scenario is to give the Germans 3 tigers rather than 4. That might make a small difference as well. But then, of course, it also really depends on which cards do you draw. As you can see from, for instance, the winter deck, what would have happened if I'd drawn 2 or 3 more T-34s, that might have made a difference too. I made some big mistakes with the Russians on turn 1 with the infantry, just rushing in, even though there were still many German units in up-fire, which cost them dearly. So yeah, all of those things have made a difference as well. But I think for the Germans to lose 1 tiger is certainly an option to keep in mind for the future. Squad transfers, no. Well, going too fast here. Place units in off fire. The Russians don't want to do that because they go first again anyway. Squad transfers, no. Do the Germans want to put anything in out fire? Well, certainly these two aren't fatigued. Well, they can't go right through these units anyway, and there's only 1 squad. So as long as the Germans actually seal off this area, there's no way the Russians are going to move through them. But no, the Germans don't want to put anything in up fire either. Scenario reinforcements and events, there aren't any, which brings us to turn 9, and I suppose I will just keep on playing. So the Germans go first unless the ace wants to go first with the ace assault card. Do they want to do that at this point? Yeah, why not? So the Germans play the ace assault card, which basically allows them to take 1 action before the Russians do. But now that I recall, this is what the Germans are going to do first. They're once again going to try to establish contact with their 88 card. So let's see if the Germans roll a 4 or higher. No, they don't. They roll a 3. So still no luck. Now they're going to play the ace assault card, which costs them 2 command. And the ace is going to fire with 15 dice. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. That's 1, 2, just 2 hits. That ace doesn't seem to be doing very well, despite its name. So it's only 2 hits. Well, the T-34 should be able to defend against that, I suppose. But let's see if it actually does. It might also roll very poorly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It only saves 1. So this T-34 is lightly damaged. Okay, I'll put this one back at the bottom of the pile. And now it's the Soviets' turn. Let's see, they really have to get rid of some units. They have to open a path because this way there's no way they're going to be able to move through all these German units. Yeah, this is going to be really difficult for them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that an option? No, that will just be blown away. The mortar could do something, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and target this hex. I think the mortar is going to fire. Suppressive fire against this hex, which means that this unit will not be affected. But hopefully at least the much more dangerous squad will be. 1, 2, 3, 4. So against 2 cover, 1 for the officer, 1 for the elite. 1 hit, but also 1 save, so nothing happens here. Yeah, well, let's just fire with this one at the tiger. And this one will use its fire as well for combined fire, which costs me 1 command. This is 7 dice then, because of the lightly damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the other one adds 4 to it. And the tiger has an armor value of 5 now. Yeah, of course I do hit on 5s and 6s now rather than on 4, 5s and 6s, because this one is joining in. So maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I've already decided. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits and 3 saves. So this one is heavily damaged. And that already takes into account the thick armor trait. So this one is fatigued, that one is fatigued, and I use that one. So now it's the Germans. This one is not much of a threat. These 2 are. So this tiger is going to fire with half firepower. 4, 6, 7 against the already heavily damaged T-34, which has 4 armor and 2 cover. That's 1, 2, 3 hits and 2 saves. So, which one did I fire at again? I was firing at that one. 6 cover. Shouldn't have had 6 cover. It should have had, of course, the armor. This one has cover, not that one. But anyway, there's 3 hits and only 1 save. So it's 2 more, or potentially even 3 more. Anyway, let's make it a heavily damaged. So this T-34 won't be going anywhere anymore either. And now I could, of course, fire with could fire with this tiger at that one. Why not? So 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 11, 13, and we have 4 armor and 2 cover from the woods. Whoa, that's a good roll for the Germans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. 0 cover. Oh my god. So this one is gone too. It doesn't look like it's going to be a Russian victory today. That's 2 actions for the Germans again. Back to the Russians. Well, let's fire with this one. 3 dice against the infantry. Normal fire, meaning that they have no cover. Otherwise, they'd have 2 covers, 1 for the elite and 1 for the officer. So normal fire. 2 hits. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's leave in the elite. Russians do have 2 more actions. Well, let's move in the T-34. 4 dice against the half track, which has 0 armor now because it's slightly damaged. That's 4 hits, so that one is gone. So at least some path is opening up again, but I sincerely doubt whether this is going to be enough. And this one can then fire at that one as well with 2 dice, normally 4, but because it's heavily damaged, only 1. That's 1 hit, so that takes care of this German unit. And now we go back to the Germans. I guess something I could do now is, well, this one can fire, and it's going to fire at the machine gunner with 4 dice. The machine gun has 2 cover. That's 1 hit and 2 saves, so nothing happens there. And what else can the Germans do? Well, this unit can fire again, or I can play the desperation card. And I'll just put it over here. Discard this card when the 3rd activation token is put on it, and I'm going to flip the, even though it hasn't been firing very well so far, I've flipped the Ace's fatigue token to its opportunity fire mode. That's 2 actions for the Germans, so 3 for the Russians again. 1, 4. Well, maybe the Germans should have fired here first. This wasn't very handy either. At the very least, I should. You know what? I'm just going to undo that. 3, 4. It's not going anywhere. So I'm going to fire with the KV-1, and going to fire suppressive fire. So that's 6 dice, 4, 5, 6 against 2 cover from the woods, 2 cover from the entrenchment, and 1 for being elite. I roll 2 hits and 1 save, so that indeed makes the unit pinned, which was the intention. Now I'm going to assault with this unit, and the elite only fires at half firepower now. For no, it can't fire at all. It would only be able to fire if there were an officer in the same hex. Wait a minute. Could be that pinned units defended half firepower. If there's an officer, they defended full firepower. So it still defends at half firepower. This squad is going to assault now because it finally wants to take those 2 command points away from the Germans. That's 2 dice against 1, 2, 3, 4 cover. That's 2 hits, but also 2 cover. So again, 0 hits. And the Germans retaliate with 1 die. And they again score a hit. So this really doesn't seem to be going too well. It seems pretty difficult to take this 1 hex. Of course, I should have used the mortar for that purpose as well, and I should have done so many turns ago. But hey, that's how you learn. And what else can they do? Well, now that this one isn't on fire again, well, let me fire with this one at the half track. So 4 against 1. That's 2 hits and 1 save, so that's lightly damaged. And that was 3 actions again, I think. Is there anything the Germans can still do? Well, that one, but it can fire normally. Then there would have to be an officer in the same hex, and there isn't. So the Russians can finish their turn. And let's see. Yeah, they have to be really careful to move in here, of course. Well, this unit can still fire at half firepower. So let's see if we can take out the... yeah, the Tiger is going to be more difficult, of course, but... no, let's go for the half track. 4 dice. Yeah, 2 hits, so lightly damaged becomes heavily damaged, I think, after 2 hits. Yep, it's not killed, unfortunately, for the Russians. If it moves in here, it can actually be seen. So 3. Yeah, it can be seen by that one. There is, well, they can fatigue this unit or put it in up fire. And yeah, do I want to risk it? Not really, actually, but do I have to risk it? I probably do. But yeah, that's probably suicide, and I would only be rolling. Well, of course I can fire at it. That might 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, that's normal range for the T-34. At least I have some chance of hitting something then. Let's make it normal fire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, 6. 2, 4, 5, 6. Against the ace. I roll 1 hit, but that's not enough because there are more saves, and that's not even accounting for the thick armor trait yet. Well, that certainly does appear to be it. Yes. Do a sniper attack, yeah. No, those cards really aren't all that much used to the Russians. So that concludes game round, or action turn, the action turn of game round 9. So we're going to determine control over objectives. That hasn't changed. So again, the Russians get 5, 7, 8, plus 1 for free. 3 and 8. So it's not like they don't have enough command. And the Germans still get 3. Yeah, so that's really something. The Russians, it doesn't look like a very critical objective, but it really makes a big difference if the Germans get 3 command for many rounds in a row, as opposed to 1 command. They wouldn't be able to buy so many cards. They probably wouldn't have been able to do this. They shouldn't have been able to do that. They shouldn't have been able to buy the artillery card, even though it hasn't been very successful so far. Spend command. Well, the Russians, they just want to make sure that they keep the initiative. Let me just, to get a better overview, exchange some of these 1s and put back a 5. They have 15, 20, 25, 26. The Germans could get, well, 16. No, there's no way they can catch up. But yeah, the Russians aren't going to do anything else. The Germans have already bought that one. Rally cry, lead the way, action phase, action phase, action phase, action phase. So they have lots of action phase cards. Some of them I even forgot about, like the out of ammo and the frozen solid. I really should remember that for the Germans next turn. I'll even put it over here. So I don't forget. So I'll put it closer to the camera. You can even see them, I guess. These are really some cards that they want to play on their next turn, at least some of them. And I shouldn't forget about this one either, the Artillery 88 card, which I've already paid for, so you never know what's going to happen. Spend command, we've done that. Determine initiative. Initiative stays with the Russians. Draw new strategy cards. Well, it doesn't really matter anymore. because the winter deck cards have run out. So the Soviets will just take a reinforcement one, hardened veterans. Well, that's not even a bad one, even though I wouldn't be able to buy it. Even though I wouldn't be able to buy it anymore, but that would have been a nice card to put it with the machine gunners. I do have a plus sign, so let's see. Maybe I can repair some tanks. No, this is a tank company. Well, two T-34s, which would have been a great card for turn 1 or turn 2 because it essentially gives you 2 extra T-34s, which have enough time to make it to the other end of the board, but not now. Yeah. So let's see. Remove tokens. Yeah. Lots of heavily damaged vehicles near the edge of the board, as you can see. So there's been some really tough fighting going on there. Yeah. Remove tokens. Place units in off-fire mode. Does anybody want to do that? Well, yeah, it's going to be the last turn, so if anybody wants to move off the board, well, first those 2 tigers would have to be destroyed, which seems all but impossible, of course. Yeah. Well, the Russians certainly don't want to put anything in on fire because they just need to move. Do the Germans want to put anything in on fire? Should still remove that pin token. I guess they do. Why not? That one, of course, I could use the desperation card for again. So I really don't have to put everything in on fire. Well, just the ace itself will be enough, I guess. Squad transfers, there aren't any. Scenario reinforcements and events, there aren't any, which brings us to turn 10, which is going to be the final turn. Final round, I should say. So, first it's the Germans, who can once more try to establish contact with their artillery 88s card. That's a 4, so they finally made it. Target hex. I guess it's going to be this one. Determine drift. You get 3 or higher. Well, no, 4 or higher, because I don't have an officer that actually has line of sight. I roll a 5, so we don't have any drift or whatsoever, and we actually hit what we want to hit. Going to roll 5 dice, normal fire. 4 1s and 1 2. So that wasn't a very great roll. So the Russians don't even have to roll any defense dice. That didn't go too well for the Germans. Well, they can't complain because actually, all in all, things do seem to be going pretty well for them, and everything seems to be going their way. Now, these are German cards, but the Russians go first. Well, let's see if they can clear the way. If they can get rid of those German tanks, that's really going to be very difficult. Well, one of these is going to fire at the half track with 4 dice, and it doesn't have any defense anymore. That's 2 hits, so that's a kill, but it's still very difficult to get rid of the tigers that are literally blocking the way here. Yeah, you can't use combined fire with units that are already heavily damaged, because you would essentially be having them twice, and that's not allowed. So let's see what this T-34 can do. Maybe he wants to be a hero of the Soviet Union. Against 5 defense, we roll 2 hits, but 1 cover die and 1 automatic save, so nothing happens there. And yeah, that's the final turn, so I'm really not going to be able to move off the board. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, then obviously, even if I did that, that unit would fire at me. So yeah, this is probably not going to help much, but let's fire with the T-34. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 against the ace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not a single hit, so that's not going to help much. And now it's back to the Germans with 2 units. I don't have all that many more left, but okay, this one is going to fire at that one too. 3, 6, 8, 11, 12, 13 against 5 armor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 cover. That's again a great shot, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits, and not a single cover. And even if I did, I still had to re-roll 1. Well, that was actually, or roll 1 more. That one was actually a save, but it's still 4 hits. So this T-34 is gone too. What else can the Germans do? Well, that unit can fire 2 against 2 cover. That elite would certainly get an Iron Cross if he manages to take out the Russian infantry there now. And he does. So that one is gone. And the Germans will only have 1 more unit left. So the rest is up to the Russians. Well, the Russians can at least try to, well, that German unit is still a threat, so let's fire with this T-34 at it. 2, 4, 5, 8 against 3, 4, 5 defense dice. 1, 2 hits and many more saves, so nothing happens here. Which unit was that, by the way? Must have been, not quite sure which unit I was firing with. This one, but it doesn't see that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's just say I was firing at one of those. Anyway, it was a miss, so it doesn't make all that much of a difference. Yeah, so that one is fatigued. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I could move in there, but it's not going to do much good. I would just be killed by that unit probably. Well, let's see if we can take out that German at least still. 3, 4, 5, 6 against 4 cover. One, 2 hits and 1 cover. Yeah, that one finally works out. And now it's back to the Germans, and they only have 1 unit left, and they will fire at that one with 7 dice. 3, 6, 7, and the T-34 has 4 armor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. Unbelievable. Well, and 1 save. So this one is gone too. And That means the Germans don't have, well, they still have these cards that they could play, yeah, but it doesn't even look like they're going to need them. Well, so now it's back to the Soviets. Take one enemy unit in snow terrain. Well, did the Germans have one more action? I think they did. I'm not sure, but yeah, they really don't need it because all these units are fatigued already. This one could try to move, but it's not going to do any good. So this one will fire with 4 dice, 2, 4. Well, against the ace, 2, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think it's got a range of, well, it's 5, 5 against vehicles. 1, 2, 3 hits, and only 1 save, and that becomes 2 saves. But you know what the T-34s couldn't do, at least not really, the T-70 does manage to do, which is to lightly damage the ace. What do you know? No, of course, I rolled 4 dice, but that's the full number, 5 dice, so I should have been rolling only 3. You know what? I'll just leave it at this, but this is a mistake. I should have rolled 1 fewer die. But let's just say that was the miss. They deserve a break. 2, 3, 4. The mortar squad. Not a good idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one can spot. This is, of course, a very long shot, but let's try normal fire against the heavily damaged tiger. So 2 dice against 5. 1 hit and 3 or 4 saves. Well, wasn't expecting any result here, obviously. This one is going to just fatigue itself. Yeah. There's no point in rushing forward the MG now because it would just get torn to pieces by the ace. No doubt about it. Well, could try it anyway. No, doesn't make any sense. Well, that's all the Russian units and all the activations and everything. So that concludes the game, basically. Yeah, so what can I change to make it? Again, the Russians lost some infantry early on. That might have made things different had they had some more infantry that they could have moved off the board. Also, the marsh terrain makes it pretty easy for the Germans to just, stack the hexes that are available to the tanks to the max so that they will have to really fight their way through each and every one of them and they can't go around them. So that is something, like I could do something with a marsh terrain that is perhaps accessible to vehicles. Maybe something like the snowy terrain, that they could get bogged down or something like that. Or, I could just say frozen marsh and that they are actually allowed to move in there. Don't know how realistic that is. I could look that up, but that might be an option as well. And I think the Germans could do with 1 fewer tiger. Yeah. And of course, it is very good for the Germans to set up a defense in depth. Should they put all their starting units up front, that's probably not a good idea. They will get fewer command. They'll get blown away by on the Russians' second round, probably, maybe the third round, and they won't have any defense here. And well, that will certainly make a difference. That would be a big tactical and strategic mistake on the part of the Germans if they did that. But yeah, I mean, certainly some people might play it like that, especially if they haven't seen this video. So yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll give the Germans 1 fewer tiger, and I'll think about what to do with the marsh. I'm as yet a bit undecided about that. But I do think this scenario needs a bit more playtesting. Still, it's already fun, but also when it comes to the command, Russians have a bit too much of it. With the Germans, I think it works just fine. What I could do with the Russians is potentially make them pay 2 command each time they want to use combined fire, but at the beginning that will really hamper them, because if they do draw this T34 card on turn 2 or 1 or something, and they want to buy it on turn 3, yeah, that will make it much more difficult for them to use combined fire in the beginning of the game. So I guess it's actually okay. It's not, the optimal situation in which I would really want to make a very tough decision for the Russians to use combined fire or decide not to. But yeah, I guess that's all okay. The main problem is the marshes over here, and that perhaps the tigers are a bit too strong. So I'll definitely do away with one of the tigers, and I'll think about what to do with the marsh terrain to perhaps make it something like a frozen river or something. Now I may be confused with Memoir 44 that has some similar rule for that, but that they can actually get bogged down into the terrain, or that they can actually move in, but that they will be doing so at a risk. I think that might be an option, so I'll look into that. Anyway, thank you very much for following this playthrough. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will continue playtesting a bit, and you should see the final version shortly on www.commandsandcolors.net, not .com, and also when the scenario is completely finished, I will post it on Board Game Geek as well. So again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and if you have enjoyed it, please leave a comment. Thank you for watching.